Sego sewa guego de gahan dage ne yongyak saganyake haga ni iya waskleuge. Good day, everyone. My name is Heather Watts, and I am Mohawk and Bear Clan from Six Nations of the Grand River Territory, and I'm a PhD candidate within the Social Justice Education Department. My research interests include education sovereignty as it relates to Indigenous nations, specifically within my First Nation of Six Nations of the Grand River Territory. I also have a great interest in teacher education and what teacher education can look like in response to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's 94 calls to action. I was in a course with Dr. Martin Cannon, and the topic was Introduction to Reconciliation in the Canadian Context. And there was a specific article that we read by Dr. Patrick Wolf, and there was a quote within that article that has kind of shook me to my core and been a real, I would say, foundation or pillar in terms of my studies and in my research, and I think the way that I walk through the world. Colonization is a structure and not an event. And what this caused me to do was to really think critically about these different traumas or acts of violence or acts of marginalization or oppression that Indigenous peoples have encountered throughout the history here on Turtle Island, or known to some as Canada, and that these aren't just historic events that are happenstance. Right? They are all part of a larger systemic project or operation, which is colonization, and that the stems of colonization still exist today in 2025. And so what I really appreciate about this department is the opportunity to be looking through these different events in history as well as in the modern day through the lens of systemic oppression, which I think present the opportunity to think about systemic change and not these, kind of small acts of change, but how we can be a part of greater systemic change. There have been numerous opportunities where I have been able to learn directly from Indigenous professors who have lived experience as Indigenous peoples and get a greater understanding of, colonial systems and change. Some of the really incredible opportunities that I've been afforded while being a student here include being an elected member of the OISE Council, where I served for 2 terms as a social justice education student representative. And one of the really, I think one of the areas where I am really proud of in relation to that work is during that time period was actually when we launched the very first Black Faculty in Conversation event, and that was in 2020. Additionally, there have been opportunities where I've been able to meet other Indigenous scholars who have come from other institutions, such as, McGill, such as, institutions out in New Zealand, folks who are Maori, and I don't think I would have had those opportunities to meet and be in community with those scholars otherwise.